Welcome to the second video in part 1 on Formulae, and today this one we'll look at the midpoint. Okay, so question is, can you work out the average of two numbers? Well, another rhetorical question. Hopefully we can do that, and let's take the same 2 points we used in the first video. So I think we had point 2, 3, no 3, 2. Which way do we want it? No, let's make it 2, 3 this time. Why not? 2, 3. So that's going to be up there. Change things up a bit. And the other one, let's keep at 6, 6. So let's put that up here at 6, 6. Now what we're looking for is if we draw a line segment from A to B, and we're trying to find what the midpoint is there. So where that is equal to that. Okay, so I said the average of two numbers. I think the real trick here is just to think, let's work in x and y independently. So let's look at this x and go, well, we're going between 2 and 6. So this x value over here is just halfway between 2 and 6. Oh, well, that's just the number 4. Okay, so this value here, let's call it m, why not? And say that that's at 4, because that's halfway between 2 and 6. Now think how we actually got the 4, or not how we actually got it. I mean, it's the same distance away, but we might have added those two together and divided by 2. And there was my concept of average. Let's do the same with the y values. So the y values, again, look at this nice triangle like before. We're going from 3 and up to 6, and we're trying to find the halfway point between 3 and 6. And possibly the easiest way is just add them up and divide by 2, like an average. So between 3 and 6, I think is 4.5. Could go 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 divided by 2 is 9 over 2, or 4.5. Or 3 plus 1.5, or another 1.5 there. Okay, that was very wordy and unnecessary just to see what our midpoint is. So in general, and again, pause as you need to draw the diagrams as neatly as you would like. As you can see more into the concepts, my diagrams aren't entirely neat. Okay, so let's look for this midpoint over here, M. Now, for our midpoint, what we said was, well, we just found the average of the two. So we're in 2 plus 6 divided by 2 gave us 4. So our midpoint over here, maybe I'll do it on this side. Sorry if that means you're crossing out or rubbing out here. But we've got the x value of A, we added it to the x value of B, and divided by 2. Okay, then we could do the same thing for the y values. And let's say, well, we just added the y values together and found their average kind of part. So we said the y value of A plus the y value of B, and divided by 2. So there's our midpoint formula. Now, over here it's got 1s and 2s. I used A's and B's. It doesn't really matter which order you work in. I like the A's and B's myself because you've got point A, point B. Okay, so there's our midpoint formula. So let's go through 2 examples to see how we might use this. Determine the midpoint of the line segment joining 2 minus 2 and 4, 6, joining P and Q. Okay, well, our midpoint is, and I'm just going to do it big. You already saw I like these kind of template-y ideas of we're going to take the 2 x values divided by 2. We're going to add them up top here. So I've got my template ready. So we've got 2 plus 4, because those were the x values over there. Okay, then we're going to look at our y values. Minus 2 and 6. We're going to add them and divide by 2. Okay, so our midpoint, which I'm just calling M, of course it could be any letter you choose, and 2 plus 4 divided by 2, well, midway between 2 and 4 I think is 3. Well, 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so that seems to work. Minus 2 plus 6. Well, between minus 2 and 6, just out of interest, if we thought about that in a number line, well, what's midway between those 2 points? Well, I think 2 is because, look, it's 4 away and 4 away here. So we're just thinking, building these other concepts and not just applying our formulae without thinking where maybe it comes from. So 2 is in the middle, but we can just go minus 2 plus 6, which is 4. 4 over 2 is 2. So there's our midpoint. Okay, one more example on midpoint. M is the midpoint of the line segment from those 2 points. Determine A and B. Okay, I'm going to do this kind of 2 ways, but the first way speaks more to the picture we drew in the previous example. So if M is in the middle here, M is at 1, -2, and we've got our first point, A, -4, and we've got our second point, 4B. Remember that we can work with X and Y independently of each other. So let's start with our X values. I can do that, and I can say our X values, I'm going to squiggle and underline here, and go just the X values. Well, between A and 1 must be the same distance as from 1 to 4. So this X distance is a distance of 3, which means this X distance must be a distance of 3. So if we go from 1 left by 3, because we went kind of right by 3 here, I think we should get -2. So I'm going to actually just do that over here, -2. Now if we did a similar thing with our Y values, so we've got our Y values were the -2, -4, and B. So -4 to -2, that distance there is 2. Maybe I can put that in a square. And that means that that distance here, in terms of the Y values, must also be 2. So from -2 plus 2 will give us 0. Okay, so just looking at it fairly conceptually, each one as a midpoint. The second way that we might want to do this or approach this problem is more along the lines of that formula. So the midpoint, might say, well, 1 is the midpoint, and we're looking at the X part. So I'm going to do these X's here. So for these parts, which are X parts, we've got 1 is the midpoint between A and 4. So A plus 4 over 2 must give us 1. A plus 4 divided by 2 should give us 1. And now we've got a little equation that we can solve. Multiply both sides by 2. A plus 4, subtract 4 from each side, and A is -2. Okay, that seems to be the same as what we did before. Now, let's do the same with our Y values and say, well, for our Y values, we've got -2 as the midpoint. So we know we're going to add those 2 Y values and get -2. So we can just do it using our midpoint formula more directly. If we want to times both sides by 2 plus B, add 4 to both sides, B equals 0. So we've got our 2 values of A and B. I'm incorrect here. I must apologize for putting this as a set of coordinates. We don't know that. I know that A is -2, and let's do that. And we know that B, we said, was 0. I don't know why I put it as a set of coordinates. It's not. Okay, so there's the different ways. And try and develop a sense of both if you can. So you're comfortable applying the formula or looking at it kind of more visually as well. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.